Pranksters, listen up. Welcome to the Beat Cafe. Why beat, you might ask? Well, all this stuff that we're doing, all this prankster stuff that seems to endure for decade after decade, it all began with the Beats, with Jack Kerouac, Neil Cassidy, Allen Ginsberg, William Burroughs, and all their friends, and all their strange, intuitive literary works that endure to this day. In the spirit of that, with the Merry Pranksters beginning in the 60s, and Neil Cassidy joining with Kesey and me and the rest of the Pranksters, there was a flow of energy that was continuous, and it continued on year after year as it does to this day. I remember a time, 1982, Kesey and I and Babs drove Kesey's old beat-up green Pontiac convertible all the way from Pleasant Hill, Oregon to Boulder, Colorado to take part at a place called Naropa, which is an institute studying Buddhism and the Beats' influence on it and things of that sort. And it was a conference held on the 25th anniversary of the publication of Kerouac's famous, incredible novel, On the Road. And we were there to take part in this as, in some way, having sort of inherited the mantle, as it were, of this movement, this literary and psychic, ongoing, freeing event that we were all participating in. We got there late, of course, as we almost always did. The fact that we got there at all was somewhat amazing in the beat-up old car. We didn't quite make it home. I think we had to finally tow it a little bit, or at least it was howling and dripping oil. Because I know that the week after we got back, I had to go to the nearest junkyard and get a whole rear end out of a Cadillac and put that into the Pontiac so he could keep driving it. But that's not the point. The point was that while we were there, we met a young man who, although young in years, was broad in mind and clear of vision. So clear in vision that he hitchhiked all the way from someplace in Canada, I think. Vancouver, I'm told, which sounds right. Only about 500 or 1,000 miles farther than we had come. And of course, it had only taken him 5 or 6 hours less time to get there hitchhiking than we did driving, non-stop, straight through. Brian Hassett is that man. And Brian, over the years, has taken that experience and he has made it his life's work to continue to present to us all of the insights of the Beats and the Pranksters and all the history, all the important things that came out of that have been perpetuated by the incredible vision, the incredible energy of Brian Hassett, who is now one of our prime spokesmen, and we are so fortunate to have him with us here today. And so now, without any further mumbling from me, I'm going to give you Brian Hassett, who will probably sing blues. And we love him.
What an intro. Oh, is this one on? Gonna ring a big ding, calling out from Sing Sing, gonna have a spring fling, kinda have an inkling. Everything is gonna sell, coming out the dripping well. Middle East of burning hell, clanging morning warning bell. The toast is up, the jam is done. Twisted people think it's fun, blowing neighbors with the gun. Sneaky, creepy, bang, bang, run. B for bombing and belabor, S for slitting with a saber. I don't know, but love thy neighbor seems to me was from your labor. Jumping Jesus, what went wrong? Rodney King says get along. Lennon leaves us with a song. Trudeau does it with a bong. The Dalai Lama makes the case, and Jerry did it out of space. Alicia's singing Soul's new face, but best of all is the Wizard's place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's 'cause we're here. It's live. It's now. You have a beer. Top me up with a living cheer. I'm Sergeant Pepper, feeling gear.
Yes.
We're water, water everywhere. Make us grow and make it better. Water, water everywhere. Take the dry and make them wetter. Spring is here, I smell the bloomin'. Many minds in Indy zoomin'. Beating back the glummy gloomin'. Trippin' like your mushy shroomin'. Honest like your Harry Truman. Shootin' wicked witches broomin'. Martin Luther King exhuming. Everybody here's a crewman. Take your soul and keep on grooming. Spike the spirit, keep on zooming. All it takes is being human. Well, welcome to Prankster Wonderland 3.1. Yesterday was 3.0. Okay. Well, I did a bunch of intros yesterday. Hey, what an intro by Brother. Very visible, very visible. So here's the adventure, which was so great to write this and then have someone who I shared the adventure with, who was there for the whole thing, read it. And love it. And I can't remember. Oh, I think Jamie Cassidy first got you the copy out at that thing. And then I was like, and I didn't hear from him afterwards. And I was like, oh, did he read it? I thought like she gave it to him, and I don't know what. So then I somehow get in touch with him like about a month later, and I said, did you ever read it? He said, yeah, I read it cover to cover, nonstop, as soon as I got it.
I loved every minute.
All right. So that was great to know. Oh, and just one little funny parenthetical. I ran every section in the book. I sent to, if it was about Kesey, I sent it to Zane or whatever, to McClure and the Ginsberg estate and the Cassidys and everybody, to make sure that it was accurate to their memory. And of all the stuff I wrote in the book, there was only one correction I ever got back of all of those courtesy submissions to everybody. Was Zane wrote back, and I had them in a sunken, I remembered the sunken living room at Kesey's house. And Zane wrote back, no, the living room is all level. It was a raised dining room. Who the hell? Yeah. Who the hell has a raised dining room? I don't know. But,
It's not a secret one.
it's not going to sink the ship. Okay, so here was this, I read that, me and Kesey meeting yesterday. And so this was this great moment on the Chautauqua porch. Was this lodge. There was this lodge that was sort of housing most of the participants. And then the front porch, Jeff, was the gathering spot for everybody. And that was kind of like the official clubhouse for the whole conference. So lots of amazing talks and weird shit went down on there. So I came with Kesey at this moment, and so we were there. And so here's this little part. And no sooner did Hunky go inside the lodge than we heard voices in the dark foyer beyond. And before long, out popped John Clellon Holmes. Ken, he boomed. And Kesey leapt up from his chair in a revelry of reverence I don't think I ever saw him show for anyone else before or since. I mean, Keys was the guy Neil Cassidy called the chief. He was the guy the Grateful Dead looked to as their psychedelic leader. He was the only guy in attendance who had a movie made from not just one, but two of his books. And the most recent one won Best Picture, and Director, and Screenplay, and Actor, and Actress. The guy who has one book that's probably sold more copies than any writer at this summit combined. Who does he look up to? John, good to see you. exclaimed our beaming hero. "You made it," Holmes bounced right back, both of them glowing in joy at seeing each other in the flesh. "Yeah, just drove here from Eugene, 40 hours straight. Well, not straight, but we made it." As the old tea-heads of time laughed loudly. But then they would have laughed at just about anything in this first meeting flush of giddy. "Have you checked in with Alan yet?" John asked. "Yeah, we just saw him over at the press conference and Buddhist conversion seminar." And everybody laughed. I never did ask how they knew each other, but they sure were old brother souls of the road. You couldn't swing a peasant skirt in this town without hitting a poet. But long-form, web-spinning novelists were a rarity in this multi-disciplined collective of crazy creatives. These two were born 10 years apart and had their first novels published exactly 10 years apart. Holmes's Go in 1952 and Kesey's Cuckoo's Nest in 62. Both had a love of characters, both real and imagined, who didn't fit into the straitjacket of society. And both were happily long married and had carved out a nice life for themselves in stable homes far from the city in a wonderland just outside of town, but still enjoyed the occasional wild adventure in wilderness hideaways with like-minded spirits. It's continuing. Oh, and speaking of spirits, drinks and herbs, that is, they had that in common too. Babs offered to fire one up, but Holmes begged off. "I've got to go do one of these bloody film interviews. Watch out for these guys. There's crews swarming all over this place," he warned Kesey. "You could end up answering questions every damn minute of the day." "Oh, don't worry about us. We'll be invisible."
Hardly.
And the funny thing is, I didn't think about this till just recently. There's 5 documentaries shot there, and Kesey's not in one of them. So he did it, you know. He was like the biggest star at the thing, and he avoided all 5 film crews. And I said, "We'll be invisible." And I suddenly started thinking, oh geez, I bet he does make himself invisible when he wants to, as I remembered my ostensible job in this whole racket, getting him where he's supposed to be. The prankster hood was kicking in, and who knows where it was going to go from here, especially since tonight the Grateful Dead were opening their 3-night run at Radio City Amphitheater. Red Rocks Amphitheater. Okay, so that's Kesey and meeting his hero in Boulder.
Yeah.
Radio City, so close to Red Rocks.
Not fade away.
Yeah. Okay, so so George and I just started jamming once. Well, where did we first see each other? Was it Cosm? Yeah, Cosm. No, film screening before that.